This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
The nation's surge in COVID-19 cases is not slowing down in some places, and that includes Indiana.
More than 150,000 Americans have now died from the coronavirus, more deaths than any other country in the world. The nation is approaching 4.5 million confirmed cases. Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci says he's seeing troubling trends in Ohio, Tennessee, Kentucky, and here in Indiana. This as more young people test positive. In Minneapolis, indoor bars are now shut down. With young adults making up more than 50% of the new cases, health experts point to gatherings at those bars.
Another increase in new cases and deaths from COVID-19 in Indiana. According to the State Department of Health's daily report, 970 more Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. The total number now tops 65,000. The overall positivity rate remains at 8.9%. And 13 more Hoosiers have died from COVID-19. Those deaths occurred between June 14th and Wednesday. That brings the statewide total to 2,746.
New numbers reveal that more than 60% of the state's COVID-19 deaths happened in long-term care facilities. This is a significant increase from the state's previous claims that nursing home deaths were half of the state's total. Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kenny has been tracking the numbers for months and has the latest developments tonight.
New numbers released this week show 1,600 nursing home residents have died from COVID-19, making up 60% of the state's total, a significant uptick. But it's not that nursing home residents are in more danger. It's how the state is collecting and reporting the information. Here's what changed. On July 1st, the state agreed to release nursing home deaths and cases broken down by specific nursing home after pressure from Call 6 Investigates and AARP Indiana. As a result, nursing homes were required to submit their COVID-19 data from March 1st through July 14th. That information is now posted on the state's website.
But now that we're stepping back and taking a comprehensive look at it, the situation is worse than what we thought it was. And so I definitely think that there is something that we can learn. And it just shows how important transparency is through all of this.
The new nursing home death data goes back to March 1st rather than April 8th as the state previously required.
We're pleased that we're finally seeing these numbers, but this is exactly the reason why we were asking for them, because we weren't getting a complete picture of what was going on.
AARP Indiana says the disparities show the importance of good data gathering and reporting.
The difference in the new numbers from what had been previously reported, it just shows how important it is to make this information publicly available. Families need to know it, communities need to know it, and we need to know it as a system to better deploy the resources for the residents and for the staff.
This afternoon, the state reminded everyone the new numbers are preliminary and may still change.
I do want to emphatically put to rest a concern that's been voiced by some. We have never underreported or hid data. Right? We have always reported the aggregate data facilities submitted to us. However, the way we collected data from facilities has changed.
As of this week, 95% of long-term care facilities have reported their historical data to the State Department of Health, and they're working to gather an additional 5%. Kara Kenny, RTV6.
AARP recommends asking the following questions of your loved one's nursing home. Has anyone tested positive for COVID-19? What is the facility doing to prevent infections? Is the nursing home at full staff? Does the facility have the PPE it needs? And lastly, what are you doing to help residents stay connected to loved ones?
Well, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory joins us now, and it has been a wet day, Kevin, after all the sunshine we've been having.
Probably 11 out of the last 12 hours we've had rain, Amanda, and it's been a while since we've had a day like this. Most of you probably welcoming the rain. Just under an inch in Indianapolis, and it's not a total yet because still raining in central Indiana, but you can see starting to shrink the overall coverage. The rain is heaviest southwest of Indy. More on that in a second. Let's go to the north and east along I-69 as you head up into Madison County, then toward Delaware County and Muncie, over toward Winchester, some rain showers. It's heaviest right now between Martinsville and, say, Danville and Hendricks County. That should come over the airport, and the official rain gauge holds together. We'll get into Johnson County as well, and then kind of breaking up here. But down in Bloomfield in Greene County, over 2 inches of rain has been reported today. Streets are wet, no surprise. Out in Putnam County, temperatures there at 70 or in the lower 70s, way off our 84-degree average high. Obviously raining now for most of us. Look at how our probability for rain will drop off quickly as we go through the evening. With more rain in the forecast, on a couple occasions potentially heavy. Don't forget our Storm Shield app. It is free. It's a weather radio for your phone.
Thanks, Kevin. Indianapolis Public Schools administrators are now recommending their entire district start this school year with e-learning. While it's being officially decided right now, families are already making plans. RTV6's Cornelius Hawker turned to parents to get a sense of what they're now going through.
I was open to sending him back. I just made that decision like last week.
I spent the summer preparing to go back to school in person. I've been collecting a mask wardrobe for my children.
These two moms might end up having to change those plans. Indianapolis Public Schools Board will decide on Thursday if students can go back to the classroom or if they're starting out with virtual learning when classes resume on August 17th. Julia Holbrook and Dina Kelly have kids in the IPS district.
How hard has it been trying to teach your kids at home?
It's been hard for me. I have to create a activity, a plan, a speech class, trying to get him to talk and use his words.
There was the stress of the newness of the situation, and that the schools were put in that position overnight, needing to pivot and go online.
Julia says her kids used workbooks to finish out the last school year. She's hoping to get more screen time with their teachers if IPS decides on virtual learning. For Dina, the situation is a little tougher because her son has Down syndrome. He's missing out on the usual one-on-one teaching he gets.
I just have to adjust and adapt to the new normal.
Both moms tell me the possibility they'll have to facilitate learning at home for their kids while still trying to work and deal with the pandemic is daunting. But they're keeping a positive attitude, knowing how they act will determine how their kids act.
I hope that this is an opportunity to teach our children how to live with uncertainty and resilience.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
Having a kid go out into the world is like your heart living outside of your body. So when that child lives with special needs amid a pandemic, it can be especially challenging. RTV6 is working to make sure those kids don't get left behind.
A groundbreaking, possibly life-saving study to fight COVID-19 is happening right here in Indiana. What you could do to help it be more successful. Still ahead when the news at 7 continues here on RTV6.
Right now on RTV6, an antibody therapy created from one of the very first people in the U.S. to recover from COVID-19 is being tested on people with the virus right here in Indiana.
Eli Lilly has selected hospitals as research sites, but as our Nicole Griffin reports, now they need adults who have tested positive for the virus to participate in this study.
Franciscan Health is one of just 24 hospitals across the country that has been chosen to take part in this new clinical study. They are putting out the call to action right now to adults ages 18 and older who have recently tested positive for COVID-19 to take part.
It was all kind of a blur when I was sick, just sitting at home, feeling miserable, trying to stay away from my family.
It started as a fever on March 15th. ER nurse Emily Kornprop says it then developed into a dry cough. Eventually, she lost her sense of taste and smell and tested positive for COVID-19. She finally tested negative and was able to return to work, taking care of other COVID patients.
My grandfather actually came down with the virus and was transported from Newcastle to Franciscan and did receive a plasma donation. Unfortunately, he did end up passing away. He was 94 years old and just couldn't, his body just couldn't take the virus.
Based on her experience, Kornprop says it is exciting to know the hospital where she works was chosen to take part in this new trial called the Blaze 1 study. Dr. Ahmad Shana is the principal investigator for the hospital.
We will be infusing this monoclonal antibody that's directed against a protein at the surface of the virus, and hoping that this will basically neutralize the virus and prevent it from entering our cells and replicating.
Some patients will receive the trial and others will receive placebo or water. The staff and patient will not know which one until the end. Working for you, Nicole Griffin, RTV6.
To be eligible for the Blaze 1 study, you must have tested positive for COVID-19 3 days prior to the study drug infusion. They're looking for patients that have mild symptoms and are not hospitalized. We'll put a link with how you can take part on the RTV6 app.
The Rebound Indiana is RTV6's way of keeping an eye on the systems in place to make sure they're working correctly during the pandemic. That includes education for all. Still ahead, our Kara Kenny is holding educational leaders accountable for children with special needs.
And some of the rain is moderate between Mooresville and Martinsville, tracking to the east across Morgan County. Johnson, you're next. We'll talk about the outlook through the weekend coming up. Well, average temperature now, 84 degrees right here. Look at where we're going to be over the next several days. Temperatures will be well below average, a lot of days in the 70s, and we're barely there right now. Rain chances diminish this evening, but we're not quite there yet. Rain chances tomorrow much lower, and the showers more likely just to stay south. Then we get to Saturday. More widespread rain returns late in the day into Saturday night. Some of that rain could be heavy as well. Lower the rain chances for a day and then come way back up on Monday. After that, rain chances for the rest of next week will diminish. Out in Hendricks County, Pittsboro, 1.4 inches of rain during the day today. And I just use our technology here to give us some radar estimates of heavier rainfall. You get between Greensburg and Rushville, southwest Rush County, 2.5 inches, over 3 inches of rain estimated in southern Lawrence, south then of Bedford, probably southeast of Mitchell, along the Wabash River out in Warren and Fountain counties, over 3 inches of rain. There have been isolated areas of heavy rain, most of us in that 3/4 of an inch to say 1.5 inches. From Indy southwest, that's where the heaviest rain is now, as we mentioned, cutting across Morgan County, moving across 231 from south of Greencastle around Cloverdale down to Spencer. This slides to the east, bigger picture, Bloomington to Martinsville, on up toward Greenwood and Franklin. A little fuzzy view from the Speedway to Indianapolis as we've got some rain in the metro area. I think fog will be an issue in the morning. Most areas will see some patchy, perhaps dense fog to start the day. 20% chance of showers tomorrow. Temperatures, again, falling short of our average high, right around 80. Will be warmer than today. These are the rain showers first thing in the morning, between 7 and 8. Those slide away. We should work in some sunshine during the day tomorrow, but it'll be a tug of war between clouds and sunshine with those showers lingering to the south. 78 Saturday, with the rain becoming likely afternoon and evening. Rain chance diminishes on Sunday. There are your temperatures through the day for the first half of the weekend, the cooler and wetter half of the weekend. Temperatures Saturday, all in the 70s generally speaking. From north to south, you can compare that to average temperatures, as we mentioned, in the 80s. We are going backwards now as we go into August. This happens to be the first weekend of August coming up. Temperatures will slide through the month from that start of 84 for the average high. Rain is likely again Monday, but then rain chances diminish for much of the rest of next week. Mark and Amanda?
Thanks, Kevin. The start of a new school year can be a heart-wrenching time for parents, but it's more complicated when you have a child with special needs.
Our Rebound Indiana Safely Back to School initiative is focused on making sure kids get what they need as they either return to school or take part in virtual learning or are homeschooled. Call 6 Investigates Kara Kenny with what you need to know.
Many parents are torn, and they're looking to school leaders and the State Department of Education for guidance on what to do.
I'm ready.
You're ready for what?
Marvin Selva's 6-year-old daughter, Ambreen, is ready to go back to school.
I thought we could say, let's go ahead and go, but
It's very scary.
Like many parents, Marvin has struggled to decide whether to send Ambreen back to Perry Township's Abraham Elementary for in-person learning or choose virtual learning.
I want to prevent her from catching this virus, and it's scary to know that, we're going back to school. What's going to happen? Are they going to do the same thing as I am?
Marvin's decision is further complicated because Ambreen has Down syndrome and other health issues.
Can she keep the mask on for longer than 5 minutes? Is she going to not touch everything? Is she not going to grab things and put things in her mouth?
Call 6 Investigates found more than 165,000 students in Indiana have a disability. The ARC of Indiana is just one of the groups that advocates for them.
Some of them are more susceptible to just illnesses. Some of them have sensory issues where they do enjoy a hug. They do enjoy touching not only their classmates, but their teachers.
Executive Director Kim Dodson says so far it's a mixed bag from parents.
It's 50-50. I think for every 2 parents we hear from that says, I am absolutely not sending my child back, we get 2 more parents that say, heck yes, I am.
The ARC wants parents to know schools do still have to follow your child's IEP or individualized education plan, even during virtual learning, even during a pandemic.
If your child is not capable of wearing a mask, then that needs to be in an IEP so that the school knows that and knows how to work around that.
We asked the Indiana Department of Education what they're doing to make sure students with special needs do not fall behind.
We have to remember that our students with special needs still need to be served. And so our cry, or our job, our drive from the very beginning is, and to this day, is how do we work with those districts to make sure they understand you still need to provide those services.
IDOE spokesperson Adam Baker says when a district fails to provide services, schools can be required to offer them after the fact.
That does help try to provide those services when those services could become available.
IDOE also created this document full of resources and guidance for special education.
Oh, you want to play with the ball then? Yeah. Okay.
Ultimately, Marvin decided on virtual learning for his daughter. He knows it will make working from home more difficult, and Ambreen will miss out on interacting with her peers.
Now I'm like, am I going to be able to teach her like a teacher? I'm not licensed. I'm not trained to be a teacher. Can I do the same job that the teacher is going to do at school for us?
Marvin is working with Perry Township to make sure the first grader is getting therapies she'd normally get in the classroom. The district told us, despite the challenges that have emerged during the pandemic, teachers continued to build relationships with parents. They have ongoing conversations to ensure students get individualized therapies and services, as well as meet academic and social goals. For Marvin and many parents with children who have special needs, their biggest concern is making sure their kids are included and not treated differently, even during a pandemic.
It's just scary,
The Department of Education has a team of workers dedicated to mediating disputes between families and local school districts. You can find out how to reach out to IDOE and this story on the RTV6 app and our website, WRTV.com. Reporting at the State House, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
Perry Township also told us they encourage parent involvement. They say, quote, parents should always contact the student's principal or teacher to discuss general concerns or questions or to request a case conference meeting, end quote. To read their entire statement and to find the state's list of special education resources, you can go to this story on the IndyChannel.com/safelyback-to-school, or you can find the story on the RTV6 app. Just like everything else, the 2020 census deadline was pushed back, but the push to get everyone counted is back on.
Census workers started going door to door today to help those who have not already responded. So right now, Marion County is a 61.5% response rate. If you have not responded, expect a knock on your door. Any census worker that comes to your home should have identification that they are indeed a census employee. Plus, they will be also following COVID-19 safety precautions. If you are concerned that a census worker is not the real deal, you can call 844-330-2020 to double check with the operator.
From a knock on the door to rain on the roof, from Greencastle down to Spencer, then Martinsville over to Greenwood. That'll move between Martinsville and Franklin. The overall rain chances continue to diminish as we go through the evening. Once we get past 9 o'clock, pretty low rain chance. That's all for the news at 7. Don't worry, we'll be back at 11. We'll see you then.